Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastoma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome back to the 5th day of this lecture series on the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12. Please join us in chanting the verses 11 to 20.
अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मध्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यथात्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाद् विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यदात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोकाः लोकान्नो द्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैः मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्षः उदासीनो गतव्यतः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान्य स मे प्रियः समः शत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतः स्थिरमतिः भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धधानामत्परमाः भक्ता तेतीव मे प्रियाः ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासूपनिषत्सु
Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Bhakti Yogo Nama Dvadashodhyayaha.
Bhakti, devotion to the God of your understanding. Make prayer an essential discipline every day. When you make prayer a daily routine, you leave home, if you're going to work or wherever you go, when you leave home, you leave with self-confidence. Your right type of prayer, I'll tell you what is the right type of prayer just now. The right type of prayer makes a psychological impact of self-belief, self-confidence, self-esteem, a faith in your own ability. But then we need to understand what is true prayer. As I mentioned to you yesterday, a lot of people make prayer as a licensed beggary, begging from God to deliver your orders. God does not have that weak pity to deliver your demands and orders. Your success, achievement of whatever that you're aspiring for depends upon your karma. Prayer, you don't pray to win favors from God. You don't pray to influence God's decision in your favor. Yet you need to pray. When you pray, you continue whatever form of praying that you have been doing. Whether you light the lamp or incense light the incense sticks or chant the mantra, whatever, continue. But then include certain psychological thought changes. In your daily prayer, you got to include 4 elements. Number 1, love. Absence of hatred, like we discussed yesterday. We all have, or if you have somebody that you are entertaining a sort of antipathy, consciously, deliberately send blessings and happiness or wish that person happiness and success. By doing so, you will not lose anything. If at all you gain, the problem is there's always be resistance from your ego. When you wish well, when you wish happiness, success to your rival, by doing so, you lose nothing. If at all, first of all, you'll gain peace of mind and many, many blessings happen to you. So absence of hatred, include that in your prayer, number 1, especially somebody has really harmed you, been nasty to you. Yes, your ego will resist, but counter it. The second element that you got to include in your prayer is gratitude. Gratitude for all the blessings that you have been enjoying, you continue to enjoy in your life. Simple. Think of all the blessings and thank the providence. Think and thank. The third element that you got to include in your prayer is surrender. Surrender is a strength, it is not a weakness. That is, we all have abilities. We all have knowledge. We also have inabilities. In the area that you are incapable, in the area that you do not know, in the area that you're not able to handle the challenges of life, surrender the result to him, to the God of your understanding, and you do what you need to do. The fourth element that you got to include in your prayer is humility. Humility is when you realize how much you don't know. We all have knowledge. We have plenty of ignorance. Every time you make a statement, I know something, there are hundreds of I don't knows associated with that I know. You may know an aspect of something, but along with it, there are so much of ignorance. So when you focus upon your ignorance, you will realize there's so much for me to know. What I know is so little, or what I'm capable of is so little. When you're aware of your ability or ignorance, you become humble. Remember, your ability without humility is a liability. A lot of people know a little bit, but the focus is only upon the little bit that they know, and they feel a sense of pride or arrogance. That becomes an impediment for your own success and progress. You find some of the most great contributors of knowledge and wisdom in the past, in the field of science, in the field of any branch of study for that matter, you'll find their lives are characterized by a deep sense of humility. Love, gratitude, surrender, humility. These are the four elements that you got to incorporate in your prayer every day to complete it. If at all you're asking from God, ask for everybody else. Ask for the world. Ask for the world's blessing. There are so many, the world need our prayers and blessings. That's why when we conclude the prayer, we chant the mantra, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all the being in all the world be happy. Wishing well and happiness to the other people. When we pray, generally you find there are two types of prayer. I would call them reactive prayer, and the other one is the proactive prayer. Reactive prayer is you pray demanded by a situation. You have a challenge, you have a problem, you have a difficult situation that you're going through. So that difficult situation stimulates a desire or need to pray. Reactive prayer, you're reacting to a situation. Proactive prayer is you have no reason to pray. You pray for the sake of praying. You pray because prayer is the right thing to do, nothing else. It is an essential, important aspect of life to bring about a positive mood, a psychological transformation. In the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, verses 16 and 17, Lord Krishna talks about the 4 types of spiritual seekers. The 3 types of these 4 are reactive prayers. Those who react, the devotees who practice reactive devotion. The last one is the proactive one. So the four types of devotees, he calls them artharthi. Artha means well, arthi means seeker, seeker of wealth. They go to God, they go to temple, all kinds of religious rituals, seeking artha, wealth. They believe when I pray, God will bless me with prosperity. Artharthi. The second type of seekers, or those who pray, are artha. They are mentally distressed. They have some kind of agitation, stressful situation, and when they go and sit in the temple and engage in bhajans and kirtans, etc., or participating in a ritual, you feel a temporary sense of serenity, equanimity, artha. The third type of seekers, he says, jitnyasu. They have certain intellectual curiosity. They come to study the Bhagavad Gita just to answer certain questions they have been seeking. They are not interested in anything else. They just want to answer their questions answered. Jitnyasu. And the fourth one, he says, Jnani, the wise one, who pursue ritual prayer or any religious practice for that matter, for the sole purpose of reducing the ego, selfishness, desires, and get closer to God. That is the proactive bhakta. Reactive prayer is when you pray, oh God, please take away my problems. Please reduce my problems. I told you, life will not be without problems. And if you keep praying, please take away my problem, he will take away the problem. He'll take you away because you are the problem. Proactive prayer is when you realize that if you really want to grow, progress, you will face difficulties and challenges. As a result, you express in the process of expressing love, gratitude, surrender, humility, you pray, oh God, give me strength to endure the difficulties instead of praying, removing the problem. Yes, when you gain strength to endure the difficulties, you convert challenges into chances. So proactive prayer is something that you do throughout the day. It is not just something that you do in the morning before you go to work. Throughout the day, you got to feel a sense of gratitude, a surrender, a sense of humility. Surrender because, we all have dilemma, difficulties and challenges. Sometimes the life offers such curveballs where you don't know which direction to turn. You're in a terrible dilemma. You don't know what to do. For example, just imagine this. Yourself and your best friend and your father. All three of you are on a trekking expedition in the hill station, maybe Drakensberg. And as you are trekking, it's already about 3-4 hours into trek. You've gone right inside the hill station. At least about 3-4 hours away from the civilization. And as you're trekking, your best friend and your father, both of them stumbled upon the nests of poisonous vipers or black mamba, God forbid. And both of them are badly bitten. And you know that if you don't inject antivenom immediately, their lives are in danger. And you have one shot of antivenom in your backpack, enough for one person. And you know how to inject. Whom will you administer the vaccine, that antivenom? Will you say, let me save my friend, he's young, and discard your father? Or will you say, let me save my father, after all, it's my father, and discard my friend? Both of them are very near to you. I'm posing a hypothetical situation. Life offers difficulties and challenges like this. We don't know which direction to turn. That is when the spirit of surrender to click in. miracle happens. Surrender is proactive prayer. Reactive prayer is when you're driven by fear of something. Reactive prayer is when you fear that if I don't do this, something bad will happen to me, or God will not forgive me, or God will punish me. God has better things to do than punishing you and me. Sometimes he knows it's not even worth punishing. There is no need to be fear of, a prayer driven by fear. It must, proactive prayer is driven by the understanding of prayer. When you pray, influences not upon God, influences upon your mood, your attitude, your reaction, your expectation. The way you respond to the situations and challenges changes. You feel a sense of self-belief and self-confidence. And with that, you are able to make the right decision and move on in life. Reactive prayer is, a lot of people engage in elaborate rituals. Some of the rituals are, so antiquated. As I told you, rituals play a very important role, but some of them perform ritual because they're afraid. Reactive prayer is when you pray for more wealth, whereas proactive prayer is recognizing the wealth that you already have and pray gratitude to God. Every single one of us are blessed with incredible amount of wealth. We do not know how to convert that into whatever accomplishment that you want to achieve. None of us are short of wealth. All that we don't know is we do not know how to convert that inner richness into material wealth. That requires the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. Reactive prayer is when you ask for favors. Proactive prayer is when you develop the vision to see opportunities in life. Haven't you heard people say opportunity knock only once? The truth is that opportunity never knocks. You got to see it. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yah pashyati sa pashyati. He who sees it, sees it. Reactive prayer is when you demand favors from God. Proactive prayer is command. Command because you have done the right thing. You have done everything. Thereafter, you don't even need to ask. You simply express your gratitude. So very carefully examine what type of prayer are you engaged in your day-to-day life. Love, gratitude, surrender, humility. Those are the nirguna upasana, that is formless worship that you would be engaged in. But then one of the problem people have is there's no time. Prayer need no particular time. Prayer is not a part-time pastime. It is a continuous awareness of the presence of God through gratitude, surrender, humility, whatever these noble emotions. We discussed yesterday few of the 35 virtues of a devotee of God. He who does not hate any being. When the fear and hatred comes when there is selfishness and ego. Hatred towards even the creatures that you don't like. Every animal, every insect, every creatures, they have their own dharma. They have their own behavior. A devotee is not afraid of it. When I say not afraid of it, that doesn't mean that you being foolhardy and to walk into the cage of a lion or a wild animal. That's not what I'm talking about. You understand their dharma and you maintain the distance. He who hates no being, maitra, friendly, maintaining a sociable working relations with everybody. that ability to maintain human relationship, not because thinking that one day we will need them, no, because human relationship is the right thing to do. Compassion towards those people who are less fortunate than you are. Compassionate, free from attachment, possessiveness. Attachment is a malady that human beings suffer from. Free from mindness, that sense of possessiveness. It is the attitude of dispossessiveness in your possessions. Possessions are okay. But what we need to do is to give up the feeling of this is mine, because the truth is that what belongs to you don't belong to you. You are simply a trustee to take care of what you have been blessed with, whether it is your money or any other possessions, or it could be your child. The child has been blessed, it's been conferred upon you by the universe, by God, if you want to call it. You are simply a trustee taking the good care of the child. Free from attachment and egoism. Anahankara, ahankara, sorry, nirmamo nirahankara, nirahankara. Aham means I-ness. Ahankara is the feeling of I-ness. Ego. Ego is it's a very powerful saboteur. It sabotages your peace of mind. It sabotages your relationship. It sabotages your career. It sabotages everything that is worthwhile. Ego that he's talking about is the negative side of ego, or the uncontrolled ego. When the ego is controlled by the intellect, your rationality, your ego takes the form of self-confidence, self-esteem. Self-esteem is a combination of confidence with humility. When you are able to use your ego, so ego basically functions as I-ness and mine-ness. I am this and this is mine. That's what the ego is. So when the ego is controlled, you say, I can do it. I'm capable of it. I can achieve it. You develop a trust, a faith in yourself. Uncontrolled ego manifests as arrogance, haughtiness, pride, cockiness. Arrogance is when you say, only I can do it. Self-confidence is when you say, I can do it. Arrogance is when you say, only I can do it. That is the problem. You find some of the outstanding achievers in whatever field of activity you see. They were able to use the ego positively. Uncontrolled ego further manifests as complexes, superiority or inferiority complexes. When your ego is not controlled, you tend to compare yourself with the other people and you say, I want to achieve better than that person. Whereas when you are confident, when you have the self-esteem, you say, I want to achieve better than myself. I want to achieve better than what I was last year. Arrogant person says, I want to achieve better than somebody else. Ego thrives on self-comparison. Constantly compare. If somebody is above you, superior to you, you can feel a sense of envy. If somebody is below you, you feel a sense of arrogance. And you look at the world with the lens of arrogance. It's a very dangerous phenomenon. Bible says, he who, when you look at the world from the lens of arrogance, you tend to exalt yourself. You assume a sense of superiority over the others. Therefore, Bible says, he who exalts himself will be humbled. He who humbles himself will be exalted. It's a fact. If you unintelligently, uncontrollably feel a sense of superiority over the other people, remember, without fail, something can happen to you and you'll be forced to humble yourself. That is the way the world is designed. The universe, the nature doesn't like superiority. You are neither superior, nor are you inferior, nor are you equal to anybody. You are unique. You are designer made. There is no need for us to feel a superiority or inferiority complexes. Nirahankara, ego manifests as I am the doer. When you do something, you feel, oh, I have done it. And you take credit for all that you've done to yourself. You don't realize there are thousands and thousands of factors have contributed to the fact that you have done something. When you ignore all the other contributions that the world, other people made, when you ignore that, that is when you feel that arrogance, I am the doer. As I told you yesterday, when an athlete wins a gold medal in Olympics for his country, there are dozens of people have contributed, not only his coaches and trainers and physiotherapists and managers and all the other, there are hundreds of factors. When you do a business and achieve success in the business, you take pride. Oh, I have succeeded. I've done it. But the truth is that there are thousands of factors have contributed to your success. When you ignore, when you forget a contribution, that is when you become ungrateful. Therefore, prayer, gratitude go hand in hand. William Shakespeare says, ingratitude more strong than traitor's arms, quite vanquished him. To be ungrateful is worst crime than killing a benefactor. Imagine you go and stab a benefactor, somebody from whom you received a lot of favor, and you go and stab him behind his back. You think that is atrocious? If you think that is atrocious, Shakespeare says, to be ungrateful is worse than killing a benefactor. Mahabharata says, you can have expiation for killing a Brahmin. You can have expiation for cutting tree. Those days, cutting tree was also, for no reason, was considered to be a great sin. But you have no expiation for ingratitude. Ego destroys your spirit of gratitude when you assume that I am the doer. The second negative manifestation of ego is I am supreme. You feel, I am the important person. When you feel that self-importance, I am supreme, compare yourself with so many other people, you'll realize that you are a small speck. Compare yourself with the magnificent universe. First of all, the astronaut says that there are 200 million galaxies in this, in I don't know what to call it, universe, world, or galaxy. There is 200 million galaxies, and out of that 200 million, one galaxy is in which we are. And in that, there is one solar system where in the center there is a sun and 9 planets revolves around. In that 9 planets, one small planet is Earth. And on that Earth, you have several continents, 7 continents. In that one of the 7 continents is Africa. And in one small country in Africa is South Africa. In one South Africa, one province is the province that you're staying. And in that province, there is one city that you're living in. And in that city, there are thousands or perhaps millions of people. And among the millions of people, you one individual. When you don't understand that, you feel a sense of superiority. You feel a sense of self-importance. I am supreme. I alone exist. Everybody is there to serve me. That's a feeling. We believe other people that are there to help me to do what I have to do, what I want to do. My right is my way or the highway attitude. My right is the only right. A bhakta, a true devotee, does not feel that sense of ego. Nirahankara, sama dukkha sukha, one who's balanced in pleasure and pain. A bhakta, a true bhakta, understands that life will not be only happiness or pleasures. Bhakta, a devotee, a true devotee, understands that life is a constant procession of joys and sorrows, happiness and unhappiness. And happiness is not a frequent visitor. Unhappiness is a frequent visitor. It's a constant procession. Joy, sorrow, joy, joy, sorrow, 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 joy. Sorrow, 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 joy, joy, sorrow, 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 joy, 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 sorrow, sorrow, sorrow. It's like that. And when joy comes, a bhakta does not jump with joy because he knows sorrow is waiting. When the sorrow comes, he doesn't sink into the sorrow. He knows that it's a passing phenomena. So when you understand that these pains and pleasures of life are a passing phenomena, you will not identify with neither pleasure or pain. A devotee also understands that pain is an inevitable part of life. Even the happiest of person in the world goes through pain, but the difference is that he does not suffer. Pain and suffering are two different things. Don't put them in the same basket. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Suffering is your reaction to pain. Suffering is your creation. You can reprogram your mind such a way that you may be going through pain, but you won't suffer. Your mind developed that tolerance not to be able to suffer, no matter what suffering it is. It could be a physical pain, or it could be an emotional agony, or it could be an intellectual conflict. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. It's not the same thing. Imagine you go to a gym and you do a good 90 minutes of exercise, workout, and you happen to be on a hot summer day. And you do an intense exercise, a 90-minute gymming training in the gym, and then you take a shower and go and sit inside the sauna. And the temperature inside the sauna is about 70 degrees. You sit there, thoroughly sweat your body, and you come out of the sauna and you go to the shower, take a good shower, change your clothes, and you come out of the gym. How do you feel? Feel refreshed, don't you? Feel so refreshed. And the temperature outside on a hot summer day is about 35 degrees, half of the temperature of in the sauna. So it's 70 degrees. And you complain, oh, it's a very hot day, terrible, it's very hot. You complain and you suffer. When you paid money and sat inside the sauna at 70-degree temperature, did you complain? You accepted it. Why? Your mind is prepared for it. You felt the heat, but you did not suffer. Your body felt the heat, but you did not go through the pain. Whereas when you came outside the gym, there is free sauna available outside and you complain, oh, it's very hot, very hot. Why? Because your mind did not accept it. Your mind resists. If I were to give you a formula for suffering, suffering is equal to P, S is equal to P into R. Pain multiplied by resistance. The more you resist inevitable aspect of life, the more you suffer. A devotee is one who's sama dukkha, one who's balanced in pleasure and pain. He enjoys the pleasures, no doubt, but he doesn't get carried away by the joy because he knows it is temporary. Similarly, when the pain comes, he endures the pain and he does not allow the pain to be multiplied into suffering. Suffering is helpless. Pain is an inevitable part of life. If you react properly, the pain will help you to grow. Sama dukkha sukha. And then he says, chami, another beautiful quality, very important quality, because every single one of us, sometime or the other, get hurt by somebody. There is a need for every one of us to develop that mindset of chama, forgiveness. Chami is one who forgives. Samadukha sukha chami. What a beautiful quality. Forgiveness. What is forgiveness? First of all, forgiveness comes out of strength. Only strong people can forgive. Weak people take revenge, vengeance. Forgiveness is that ability to resist hatred inside you. Forgiveness is that capacity to avoid hatred towards the offender. It is that ability in you to give up the right to punish the offender. Let the judiciary take care of that. Is that aspect, that ability of not wanting to retaliate even when you are extremely provoked. Forgiveness is that ability. It is the conscious decision that you make to give up resentment, anger, vengeance, bitterness towards those who have harmed you. Rationally, it is you consciously, rationally give up the right. It takes a lot of character, a lot of strength. If you don't, the resentment will consume you. It will eat your system up. When you don't forgive, what happens is that offender will occupy a very valuable space that you have, that is your mental space. As I told you the other day, that mental space is far more valuable to you than having a house in Kensington Palace in London. Because in this mental space, that is where your life is designed and manufactured. Your future is conceived, designed, and manufactured in that mental space. And if you don't forgive, you will allow that offender to occupy your mental space morning, noon, and night. You'll be thinking about him or her in your mental space and harboring ill will, hatred, vengeance, all kinds of negative emotion. And if you continue to entertain negative emotion, your life will never be positive. You cannot have the negative feeling. You cannot have negative thoughts in your mind and expect positive life. Impossible. Simply because your life is a product of your thoughts. If your thoughts are negative, your life will be negative. You will find yourself encountering all kinds of difficulties and problems and challenges, one after the other. You might say that person doesn't deserve forgiveness. Yes, you may be right, but you deserve peace of mind, don't you? You forgive not because the other person deserves forgiveness. You forgive because you deserve peace of mind. So when you forgive somebody, you will be liberated. You are actually liberating a person, and the person is you. Bhakta understands the distinction between getting hurt and whom to forgive, or why should you forgive. You have the ability to retaliate. You have the opportunity to retaliate. You know how to retaliate, but you also know that it is a meaningless exercise, because retaliating towards stupid people will only make the situation worse and worse and worse. It appears Muhammad Ali, the great boxer, is no more with us, American boxer. He was walking through a street in America, a shopping mall perhaps. And as these celebrities go, generally the paparazzis, photographers follow. So was the case with Muhammad Ali. And as he was walking through the mall, probably doing the window shopping, and he inadvertently, accidentally happened to knock at another man, another short, thin, and puny man. Knocked at him, and the other man was so upset, so wild, so angry, and he gave a punch to Muhammad Ali and said, "You got to see where you're going, man. You're so upset." Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight boxer, as you know, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm terribly sorry." And the man gave one more punch to Muhammad Ali and said, "You got to be sorry." Muhammad Ali just shrugged his shoulders and walked away. Next day morning, in the newspaper, the man's picture punching Muhammad Ali. And when he saw it was Muhammad Ali that is punched, he fainted. One punch from Muhammad Ali, the man would have gone flying. But Muhammad Ali had the ability, he had the opportunity and the capacity, but he just shrugged the shoulder. Strong people forgive. Weak people retaliate, take revenge. Remember, how can we forgive? What tool can we use to forgive? You need to understand this to be able to forgive. As to why do you suffer? You need to understand who causes your pain and suffering. You need to understand your pain is caused by yourself, not the other person. I repeat, if you are going through any kind of pain which you claim is caused by somebody else, you got it wrong. Your pain is not caused by anybody else. Your pain is a result of your own past karma. But then what is the role of that person? That person whom you claim caused pain is simply a medium. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 33, Bhagavan Krishna tells Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, those Kauravas have already been killed by their own karma. You are only a medium. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin." Arjuna, understand, you're only a nimittam, you're only a medium. If you understand that, if you understand the essence of that particular verse in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 33, Krishna is talking about, not a moment you'll feel revenge towards anybody. Because your pain is caused by your own past karma. But for that effect of that karma, there has to be a medium, there has to be a nimittam. And the nimittam happened to be that individual. You got to think about it. Our life, pain and pleasure, sorrow and happiness, joy and pains and stress is an effect of our own past life, of our own past action, past karma, past choices. But then for that choices, that past negative karma, selfish, egocentric action that you performed, for it to manifest, it needs a medium, and that medium happened to be that person. So that person did not cause suffering, your own karma caused suffering. If you don't take that stance, what happens is you will retaliate. You will begin to harbor hatred. You begin to harbor revenge towards the other person. And when you harbor hatred, revenge, you are perpetuating your bad karma. You're actually multiplying reproduction of the bad karma. You forgive when you understand that nobody has caused your pain. Your own past karma caused your pain, but there is a medium. If you don't understand this, you take revenge. And when you take revenge, you're constantly harboring hatred, ill will. I'm not saying you're able to practice it easily, but try it. Step by step, you will experience a great sense of serenity and peace in your mind when you let the other person face the consequences for whatever he did. You resign to the karma. Now, there's one caveat, is that when we talk about forgiveness, that doesn't absolve you from your responsibility to the world, the society. You may forgive a person, you may resist hatred, you may resist anger, you can resist vengeance, but that doesn't mean that certain situation may require a punitive measure. If you encountered, God forbid, robbery or mugging or whatever, the offender will need punitive action. So just because Bhagavad Gita talks about a bhakta is one who forgives, that doesn't mean to say that somebody mugs you, God forbid. You don't report or take the offender, take the culprit to the court or to the police. You got to, because you also have a social responsibility. But in the process of taking the offender to the court, you have no right to hate him. Yes, you have the right to hate his deed. You have the right to hate the sin, not the sinner. You got to distinguish the sin from the sinner. The action you can dislike, you can disapprove, you can disrespect the action that he has done, but you cannot afford to hate the person, because that person has the divinity in him, God in him. If you hate him, you're hating God. There's no point hating him and you're going and praying the rituals and temple, all those kind of things. It's a waste of time, doesn't work. Shama, forgiveness. Forgiveness comes when you understand the difference between weakness and wickedness. Some people have a weakness. That doesn't mean that it is their wickedness. All right. Weakness you got to understand, just as it is the dharma, it is the nature, it is the basic nature of a lion, of a tiger, to be ferocious and attack and kill. That is their dharma. So when you understand that everyone acts according to his or her own guna, quality, or vasana, the basic temperament, you will develop the strength to forgive. A very important mental disposition, ahimsa, the kshama. Adveshta sarva bhutanam, he who hates no being. Friendly, compassionate, all right? Free from attachment and egoism, balanced in pleasure and pain, and forgiving. That person is a devotee. Verse 14.
Santushta satatam yogi.
Santushta satatam yogi.
Yathatma dhrida nishchayaha.
Yadatma dhrita nischayah.
Mayarpita mano buddhihi.
Mayarpita mano buddhihi.
Yo madbhaktas same priyaha.
Yo madbhaktas same priyaha.
The eighth quality, virtue of a bhakta, a devotee, is santushta, ever content. Satatam yogi, always a yogi. I'll explain what it means. Yathatma, self-controlled, one who has a perfect self-control, possessed of firm conviction, with mind and intellect dedicated to me, says Bhagavan Krishna. He, my devotee, is dear to me. Who is dear to God? Not the person who wants to become the chairman or secretary of a temple and believe that he needs to fight against somebody else because he wants to serve God. That is not a devotee. Not a person who expends so much of money and go for pilgrimage to Balaji, Badrinath, Mecca, or Medina, or Jerusalem, or Guruvayur. You can do all that. Not a person who invite a priest to perform an elaborate havan, outsourcing prayer, and he does nothing about it, nothing in terms of participating. That is not bhakti. He says that devotee, wherein he discussed 7 qualities earlier, one who does not have hatred, one who's friendly, compassion, forgiving, without ego, balance in pleasure and pain. And then he says here, one who's contented. That person is a devotee. Contentment, santushtaha, one who's always ever contented. If someone is contented, you might wonder, that means a bhakta doesn't have aspiration, he doesn't have goal to achieve, he doesn't want to grow? Not at all. A devotee, a bhakta also has ambitions and aspirations to grow. But then, along with that aspiration, he also has a deep sense of gratitude. Contentment is a combination of 3 things. Contentment requires you, the contentment that Bhagavad Gita talks about, requires you to have an aspiration. You need to have a goal, you need to have a purpose. If you are a businessman, you can have aspiration to grow your business, to employ more people. If you are a university student, you can have the aspiration to do well in the university, to be number 1 in the university. You can have that aspiration. If you are an athlete, and if you want to be a devotee of God, you can have the aspiration to be number 1 in that particular sport or that athleticism that you're participating. But then what is he talking about? Contentment, ever content. Contentment is a combination of three things. Number one, aspiration for more. Number two, gratitude for what you have. Number three, patience for what you want to achieve. When you have these three united in your mind, you are a contented person. Contentment does not restrict you or prevents you from aspiring for more. Gratitude. When you are aspiring for more, gratitude stabilizes your mind. And patience. When you understand that every success is organic, you cannot become multi-millionaire if you are not ordinary wealthy, if you are below middle class person. You cannot become a multi-billionaire overnight. It is an organic growth. When you understand that between effort and result, there is a time span. I repeat, when you understand between the effort that you put in and the result that you accrue out of it, there is a time span. When you understand the time span, that is called patience. Today, we are an impatient society. We don't have patience. You can see that is displayed all over. You can see that impatience manifesting on the road. You can see impatience manifesting in daily activities. You go to a restaurant and you place the order and you're so impatient. That's why in the restaurant they put it in the menu. We want to specially make the dish for you, so be patient, because they know people are patient. Every time the waiter comes, maybe that's mine, that's mine. You watch people in the flight. As soon as the flight is landed, they know that by the time you deboard, you alight the flight, it takes at least 10 minutes. It can be up 20 minutes, half an hour. Isn't it? If it is international long haul flight, it can even take longer time. But as soon as the flight is still, the aircraft is still taxiing, it's not even come to a stop. Everybody tada, pada, jump on the, pull the back, pull the impatience. Sit there. You will have the time to alight. That 10 seconds earlier will not make a big difference. We don't even give opportunity to the person in front of you to go. It is their right to go, but you cut and pass, squeeze through inside. For what? Impatience. Olden days, I'm sure some of you must have traveled by train or bus or whatever. If you want to, I remember traveling from Mumbai to Chennai or Bangalore. All right, it takes about 15 hours, 20, sometimes even 20 hours by train. You sit in the train, you sometimes read, you do your things. So the station comes, you take a walk and relax and come back. Sometimes you have the fellow passengers, you just chit chat. People had the patience. That 14 hour, 15 or 20 hours of train journey can now be covered in 2 hours by plane. But, those days people had the patience to sit in the train for 20 hours. But that 20 hours can be covered in 2 hours now. But when you are in the flight flying from Durban to Cape Town, you're so impatient sitting there. The time span has reduced so much, and yet we lose our patience. Keep watching how many minutes to land. And when the flight landed, you're so impatient to jump on each other to get off the flight. Patience, a very important aspect in every aspect of life. If you want to have a child, you have to wait for 9 to 10 months. It's an organic growth. Don't expect to harvest the day you plant the seed. Between planting the seed and harvest, there is a time span. A bhakta understands the time span and accepts it. As a result, he becomes patient, and that patience coupled with gratitude and aspiration, you are a contented person. Santushta, a very important, the opposite of santushta, contentment, is greed. Greed destroys the serenity. The Russian writer Leo Tolstoy writes about a greedy man. The man wants a lot of richness, wealth. So he went up to the king and said, I want a piece of land for cultivation to produce fresh produce. And the king asked him, how much do you want? And the man asked, how much can you give? Then the king said, I will give you as much area as you can cover walking throughout the day. You can walk, run. If you can cover 50 kilometers by walk or running throughout the day, I will give you 50 square kilometers of land for you. As soon as the man heard that, he didn't waste his time. He started walking, he started running, he started walking and running. He did not even wait for 2 minutes to drink water. He did not even wait 5 minutes or 10 minutes to eat some food, because at 10 minutes, if you wait to eat food, that much land will be lost. He went on running and running and running. He went on for a long time. And the contract was, by 5 o'clock, if you can cover 50 kilometers, I'll give you 50 square kilometers of land. That was the agreement. So the man started. He didn't rest. He didn't relax. He didn't drink water. He went on. And last 10 minutes left. And the 10 minutes, he didn't want to waste time. So he ran and ran and ran and ran in that 10 minutes. Eventually, he covered substantial ground. And out of sheer exhaustion, out of sheer weariness and tiredness, because he totally ignored his health, he eventually dropped dead, literally. And how much land he needed? 3 feet wide, 7 feet length, 10 feet deep to bury himself. That is the effect of greed if you don't practice contentment. Contentment does not mean aspirationlessness. Contentment means a person has aspiration, but the aspiration has been controlled or governed by the intellect and does not allow that to become greed. Santushta. And then he says, Satatam yogi, always a yogi. The word yoga is derived from the Sanskrit word yuj, means to join, to unite. So always a yogi means a true bhakta is not a spasmodic bhakta, spasms of devotion now and then. A true bhakta is a consistent bhakta. A true bhakta is not driven by when he is experiencing fear, he goes and pray. No. When he has problems, he goes and pray. No. He is a proactive bhakta. For him, need no reason to pray. Prayer becomes a daily routine. Love, gratitude, surrender, humility. Throughout his life, continuous gratitude. So you have that satatam yogi attitude when you have that inner urge, mumukshatva. Mumukshatva is that burning desire to liberate yourself from this bondage of pain and suffering that we are going through. Always a yogi, satatam yogi. And then he says, yathatma, one who's self-controlled, one who has a perfect mastery over senses, the 10 senses, the 5 organs of perceptions and 5 organs of actions. The 5 organs of perceptions are the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the skin. And the 5 organs of actions are the hands, legs, organ of speech, genitals, and organs of evacuation. A bhakta is one who has got perfect mastery over the senses. Mastery over the senses does not mean that he doesn't enjoy sense objects. You're more than welcome to enjoy the sense object, but the sense objects do not dictate term to you. You dictate them to the senses. A true bhakta doesn't allow the sense objects to take control of your personality. Whether it is food or sweets or whatever it is, you control. Self-control is not self-denial. In the name of self-control, a lot of people deny themselves certain permissible sense enjoyment. That is not self-control. Self-control is when you are enjoying the sense objects, you know that those sense objects they are not dictating terms to you. You have perfect mastery, you enjoy it. How do you practice it? By analyzing, as I told you the other day, examine yourself. Every one of us have got one or two sense weakness over the senses. Could be the eye, could be the nose, it could be whatever. Start your sense control there. And then you'll find you gradually, graduate yourself. You have a goal. You need to have a goal in life, a purpose. When you have a goal that is beyond your personal interest, if any enjoyment actions interfere with your pursuit of goal, you say no to it. That is when you enjoy the pain of discipline. In life, there are two types of disciplines that we go through, only two types of discipline. The two types of disciplines are the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Self-control is that ability to endure the pain of discipline. Because bhakta aware, a devotee aware that if I don't endure the pain of discipline now, I will have to experience the pain of regret later. So to ward off the pain of regret, the pain of regret comes, it is helpless, you have to go through helplessly. Whereas pain of discipline, you go through out of your conscious choice. Pain of regret, you have to go through helplessly. And then that'll give you the ability to forbear, endure the pain of discipline now. Self-controlled, controlling your desires, controlling your ego. And then he says, dridhanischaya, one who possessed a firm conviction. Dridhanischaya, firm conviction is that your intellect, your rationality, your thinking ability is assessed the pros and cons, and you came to a conclusion, this is the right course of action, and you stand by your decision. You will not yield to the pressure from your own desires or ego, or from the pressure from the other outside world. Dridhanischaya, firm conviction. And when you have that firm conviction, what happens is you'll find everything else falls into place. When you have the dridhanischaya, firm conviction, that every evening next 7 days, if you have done it before, from 7 to 8:15, you make a firm resolution, firm conviction that this is going to be my engagement for next 7 days, listening to the Bhagavad Gita. And when you make that firm conviction in your mind, when you make a deep assertion, you'll be amazed that you will have no obstacles and impediment. But if you have an ounce of, even an iota of doubt in your mind, you'll find excuses, obstacles coming in your way. Obstacles and impediments are those monsters that you see when you don't have the conviction in what you want to do. The moment you're convinced, you'll find the universe will cooperate with you. The nature will cooperate with you. When Lord Rama wanted to cross the ocean to reach Lanka, to rescue his consort Sita, the ocean came in between. And when he wanted to build the bridge, when Hanuman discovered where Sita is, came back and reported to Rama, and Rama and the Vanara Sena and the monkey forces wanted to build the bridge, all right? What happened? The Vanaras, the monkeys, grabbed the stone and shouted, Jai Shri Ram, and put the stone in the water. The stone did not sink. The stone was floating. Squirrels helped them. Squirrels carried sand in their mouth. How much sand a squirrel can carry? And to put in the ocean, will it make any difference? But the point is that when you take that solemn resolution, that Dhrida Nishchaya, firm vow of achieving whatever goal that you want to achieve, you'll be amazed. So long as it is a righteous, noble goal, purpose, you'll be amazed how the universe, the nature cooperate with you. If you don't have the firm resolution, you'll find all kinds of, you will yield, you will succumb to excuses. Dhrida Nishchaya, firm conviction. And then he says, my arpita mano buddhi, mind and intellect dedicated to me. Mind and intellect, the heart and the head, are the two powerful equipments that every one of us are blessed with. Mind is the seat of emotions, desires, likes and dislikes, impulses, attachment. Intellect is the capacity to think, to decide, to make decisions. Your intellect has the ability to conceive, imagine things that you don't know, that is not created. So if you want, God is unknown, your intellect has the ability, ability to imagine that there must be something beyond all this. Who is that? And mind surrenders. And then the confluence happens. Yo mad bhakta same priyaha. That devotee is dear to me. Not that person who says Krishna alone can save you. Fake devotee. Christ alone can save you. Useless devotee. Allah alone can save you. Dangerous devotee. No. One who practice these and embrace the others. Let them practice. They do not have antagonism, antipathy towards any other religious practices. They understand that there are different practices. And they respect them. Santushta, Satatam yogi, self-controlled, possessed of firm conviction with the mind and intellect dedicated to me, he, my devotee, is dear to me, says Lord Krishna. What universality, what Catholicism, what freedom does Bhagavad Gita, Hinduism gives? He doesn't ask any background. He doesn't ask any qualification. He doesn't ask any race, whether you are an African or American or a Chinese or an Indian. He doesn't ask whether a Hindu or a Muslim. He doesn't ask whether you're educated or uneducated. How liberal, how universal can a faith be? That is the reason Hinduism stood the test of time. Many other civilizations bubbled for a century or so, and disappeared. Greek civilization, Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, Mayan civilization, every single one of them have gone. Hinduism, many attacks have been made over several centuries. Muslim invaded India and they destroyed hundreds and thousands of temples. Hinduism stood. And then the British came, they converted millions of Hindus to Christianity. And Islam also did that. Hinduism stood the test of time. Why? Because it is based on eternal principles. It doesn't ask you any background. So we have a duty to protect this culture, not for Hindus, but for humanity. The only hope for humanity in the future is the philosophy, the time-tested philosophy of Hinduism. The world will realize sooner or later. Thank you very much. We'll continue tomorrow. We'll conclude with the Shanti part. Om Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. Wait for an announcement. We are going to be having a lecture on the Krishna Janmashtami day, that is on the 30th Monday. So I'll be speaking to you on Lord Krishna's role in winning the Mahabharata war. The role of Krishna in the Kurukshetra war, that'll be I'll be talking to you on Krishna Janmashtami day, Monday, the 30th of August from 7 to 8 o'clock. All right, please join us. The same medium. Thank you.